Okay, guys, welcome to my Pathfinder Kingmaker Demystified series, part 2. I wanted to go over each of the difficulties and a lot of the options that you can change, uh, and just so you can know where to start from or what to decide for yourself. So, first off, let me just say I would recommend starting on normal mode if you are new to the game, if you're new to RPGs, if you're new to Pathfinder. So there's no shame in starting on normal mode. There's no shame in starting on easier modes even, if you wanted to take a more casual, relaxed trip through the game and explore everything that the devs did for us. So you'll see that in normal mode, easy through and fair mode, a lot of the options down here remain the same. We'll go through each one of them. But the kingdom management always remains on normal. Except for story mode, weirdly enough, only skill users receive skill check experience is X'd out. Um, so all of these, with the exception of this one on story mode for some reason, those all remain the same across the board. If you want to change those, you absolutely can. And then, okay, so we will go through each one by one. We've got critical hits, which are obviously you're going to take damage regardless, but sometimes your enemy can crit. On normal mode, the critical hits are weak. On easy mode and on story mode, they are completely off. And then in challenging mode and hard mode and unfair mode, they are normal. And weirdly enough, there is only off weak and normal. There's not like a extra crit for the unfair mode. So then, back to normal. Death's Door is a last chance for your character and for your companion characters. So there's essentially when you get down to 0 health and you would have died, they will end up in a status that has the buff called Death's Door, and that will be if they take a hit during that time when they have that buff, they will definitely die. But you have one last shot. So you will see that Death's Door is on for just easy and normal. Story mode, weirdly enough, it's off, but that's because characters can never die anyways, so there's no point. And then challenging and above, it's off, so you have a higher difficulty there. Dead companions rise after combat, so the ones that die, they just get back up. You'll see that in just story mode, and then everything else it's off because it's a little bit too easy. I want characters that can die because otherwise it removes the challenge. So story mode, if you're taking a really casual trip through, absolutely let that be. But if you want a challenge, like, let it die. I remove negative effects on rest. So one of the essential things in tabletop games is the idea of the rest. So an 8-hour long rest removes fatigue. In tabletop games, I should say, it increases your HP to full. So you will regain your hit points or your hit die, and everything will be restored. In this game, as far as I've noticed, like during a normal rest, they won't 100% regain health, but they'll regain a little bit. And then during the rest, negative effects such as blindness and other character effects will be removed right away. If you check this, it'll be removed immediately. Otherwise, you'll have to sleep a couple extra hours in order to remove those effects that by checking this would come off immediately. Auto leveling up. So even more than the game controls and the difficulty settings and all of that, and even about as hard as character creation, there is leveling up, which is really, really hard. It's in depth. There's a lot to it, and if you don't have experience in Pathfinder or D&D in general, and you don't know a whole lot about how to build a class, there's no shame in leaving your auto level up button on. because the game has a preset, it'll do it for you, and you don't have to worry about making a wrong choice and then regretting it later. And even understanding some of the sections in the leveling up, even that's hard to get through. Anyway. And then enemy stat adjustments. I thought it was really weird because there's no actual number or stat that is listed here across the board. There's just like somewhat easier, normal, moderately harder. So they don't exactly say what that means, but we'll just have to take their word for it. So you can change this to much easier, moderately easier, normal, etc., etc. And of course, in unfair mode, it'll be like up here. Damage to party is reduced if you are on normal or below. So on normal, you have a 20% damage reduction to your characters. On easy mode, it's a 60% damage reduction. And on story mode, it's an 80% damage reduction. So like, it's like cat slaps. It's like the cat slap of damage on story mode, but it is enjoyable to just cruise through on story mode and explore the game. Enemy difficulties, weak on the first two, normal on the middle two, and then I'm sure it's insane. Oh, there's, okay. Strengthened and then insane on hard and unfair. Party speed depends on the weight you're carrying. This is huge. So you'll see that in normal mode, easy mode, and story mode, that's turned off. If it's turned on, so challenge mode and above, not only the walking speed, so like say you click the map and you want to walk somewhere, you will like actually walk as opposed to doing your little jog. So the more shit you carry, the slower you are. And even if you're not completely stuffed full, it'll still slow you down a little bit. It'll show as lightly encumbered, moderately encumbered, and heavily encumbered. And I don't know if there's a point that you can get to where you just can't move anymore. I don't know. I've been doing some serious inventory management. I haven't quite hit that spot yet, so I'm doing okay. But even worse is traveling between zones. It slows you down, and it doesn't tell you. It'll just say how long it'll take to get to a place. So if you're at point A and you want to get to point B, where normally if you weren't overly encumbered, it would take an 8-hour travel time. If you are encumbered, it can take 18 hours, 20 hours, 1 day. So, and because kingdom management, like essentially it's like a kingdom sim and an RPG. So you control your kingdom and you have all these tasks for your advisors to do. And if you're slowed down going from one point to another, you are losing time. And all of these tasks are time-based. So you only have a certain number of days to complete them. And you are deeply harming yourself if you carry too much shit. So be careful. Word from the wise. For once in my life, I actually really totally have to worry about inventory management as an effect to my game, as opposed to not just being able to loot something and having it sent to my mailbox and wow. Totally different. So kingdom management, interestingly enough, like I just noticed this, it's actually normal across the board. You have to manually make this harder on yourself if you want to. See, even in hard mode and unfair mode, kingdom management is set to normal. However, there is a hard mode, so if you want, I don't know what it does. I didn't know this until today. I haven't tried it. I imagine it either makes the tasks, I imagine the tasks themselves are the same, but I imagine that they have even shorter time frames. So if you want to make it harder on yourself, you can change that. Now, this one actually it's been like a lot of debate within the community whether we should have this checked or whether it makes any difference, or we're not sure. So basically, if you have this checked, only the people that you have with you in your party are going to receive experience. And supposedly, by having this unchecked, like it's supposed to, how do I explain this? So you have companions that are stapled, essentially. So like they're just hanging out in the town waiting for you to decide to pick them. And then your party of 6 are the ones getting the experience if you have this checked. However, if you have it checked, reportedly, they don't receive extra experience that they wouldn't have received if it was unchecked. So they're like, it's maybe not working as intended. I don't know if I explained it very well, but that may be something that might be getting an overhaul. Not totally sure. I'm leaving it unchecked. Hi, Snoof. Yeah, I'm recording a thing. Excuse you. And then this one, you'll notice across the board that, yes, thank you, only skill user receives skill check experience. And what that says is, like, if you pass a perception check or a trickery check, you get experience. Or a diplomacy check, or whatever it happens to be. Your characters will get experience. But if you check this setting, only the one that has the high skill will get. And there, as far as I know, there's no real point to that. Weirdly enough, in story mode, this is checked by default, and I don't know why they would have made that choice to make that the default here. I don't know. Okay, so when we went at the start of the video, we noted that this is one of the ones that are unchecked across the board. Baby, excuse you. This is one of the ones that are unchecked across the board. And you can check it. What Last Aslanti mode is, it only gives you 1 save slot. So if you realize that you messed up, like I was watching a streamer who didn't realize that he was over encumbered and that he had been for a while and that he'd been like wasting time traveling from point A to point B, taking extra time because he was over encumbered. If he had been playing on Last Aslanti mode, he wouldn't have been able to like reset from 3 saves back or whatever to try to regain some time. So 1 save mode, not for the faint of heart. If you mess up, you're probably in deep shit. Immersive mode, if you turn this on, it basically removes all the combat hints. So the like the arrows that show where you're aiming, like what enemy you're going to hit, the enemy's health bars, all of that information that is by default shown in the game. If you turn immersive mode on, excuse you. Thank you. If you turn immersive mode on, then you lose all of that. I wouldn't recommend it because all of that stuff is very helpful. And then, yes, show tutorial because it's kind of a hard game to learn. I'm not going to lie. So definitely recommend show tutorial. It'll give you a walkthrough. Definitely recommend. So that is it for the difficulty selection and all of these skills and what they mean. If you know the drill, like, subscribe, blah, 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 Twitter, Twitch, etc. So you guys have an awesome day. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And not only that, but I hope it was informative. And then next, I'll be covering character creation in general. And I believe from that point, I will also do different builds for different types of characters. But I think I'll do those in separate videos here over the next few days. So you guys have a good one, and I will see you later.